What's up, my dudes? My name is Sister Turley, and this is the track review of Forest Test Facility, the snow version. So, brr, it's colder than a witch's titty out here, boys. So, it's definitely a pretty fun track, but it's got a lot of really cool, minute roughness and ruts on the track that you don't normally find on tracks on this game, because most of the time, if you've noticed, people will make their roughness and their ruts a little bigger than it would be in real life, just to make the track easier to flow on and just make it easier to ride on overall. But that's not how this track is at all. This track is made more like super realistic, perfectly to scale, and it makes it really fun and unique, but it also makes it very tricky and very different and very challenging compared to a lot of other tracks out there. You got to have a lot of patience and a lot of throttle control with this track, or it's just going to be frustrating the heck out of you, because that's just the way the track is, and the fact that it kind of has a slick vibe to it overall. Like, you can't just, really power around the corner with the throttle, or you're just going to completely spin out. Trust me, I've done that plenty of times, so I'm just giving you guys a little warning right off the bat. I think it does have a little, like, slick filling to the tile map. I'm not really sure if it's meant to feel more like snow or more like ice or what it is, but it's tricky because it doesn't really feel like it's slick until you do get on the gas a little too hard, if that makes sense. It's not like it's just, whoa, this is like ice. It kind of feels like normal dirt when you're just riding in a straight line and you're just kind of going chill speeds on it. But once you get going really fast, it's like it turns into ice all of a sudden. So it's kind of tricky like that. But the track overall is pretty narrow. I feel like it's perfectly built to scale, and it's awesome, man. It looks really good, but it makes the entire track very tricky, and there's a lot of ruts and kickers up the face of the jumps. So if it's one of those tracks, if you don't know the layout of it and all that, it's very easy to just go flying off the berm, because it's so narrow and a lot of these corners turn really sharp and stuff. And the fact that the on-track and off-track decal looks very similar, it makes it, and it blends together really well, which looks really good, but it makes it to where you can't really tell what's on track and off track that easy. So if you've not rode a whole lot of laps on the track, a lot of times you just go completely flying off the track, and you're like, oh, okay, that was the corner right there, but I'm going right past it. So that definitely happens a lot when you first start riding on this track. But once you kind of figure out the exact layout, it becomes a lot easier. So that's like my biggest recommendation for this track, is don't get frustrated with it at first. Like, try to put in at least probably 6 or 7 laps, and then you start to find those really secret special lines, and you start to really vibe on the track when you can find those, the way the ruts really flow, and you find those special tricky lines that kind of get you out of those rough spots and stuff like that, and it makes it to where you can flow like 100 times better on the track overall, and you can probably literally go like 3 times as fast in a lot of these sections if you just find that one little trick line that kind of keeps you out of the roughness, and it gets you perfectly straight on the whatever kind of rut in the corner. So it kind of, you gotta ride a couple laps on it, and it makes it feel a lot like a realistic motocross track in that sense, where you really gotta, like, you find those trick lines and stuff. It's not just a perfectly flat track. It's got all those special lines that you can find, and this is one of those tracks that it's just different than a lot of other tracks out there, and I definitely have to give this dude a hats off for that, just because it's very different. I mean, that's the main thing I say, man, is as long as you can get your track different, then I mean, it's going to be fun. And it's tricky, and I could see where this track would definitely frustrate a lot of people, but I mean, I thought it was pretty fun. It was definitely tricky at first, but once I kind of figured it out a little bit, it got a lot better. So that's kind of the thing about it. It's just very tricky, but I do like how all the decals and everything look very realistic, and that's one of the number one things with this game when you're trying to make a really good looking track. You want to make sure that your actual decals look realistic. There's some decals out there that look like Play-Doh, and there's some decals out there that look like full res, awesome graphic kind of decals. So you really got to pick and choose what kind of decals you're going to use, and try to stay away from those really Play-Doh looking fake kind of decals, because that'll instantly take away the realism. And that's the thing about this track, is that it's got the just the really super to scale realistic kind of width of the track. And I feel like that's what a lot of people, they just want to make their tracks too wide for some reason. And trust me, I've done this plenty of times. When I say these things, trust me, it's because I've done it before and I'm learning from it. Okay, that's why I say these things. It's not because I'm like, oh, I've never done that before and I'm the best track maker ever and all you guys suck at making tracks. That's not what I'm saying at all. I'm literally saying like that because I've done it. I've made way too many tracks that were too wide, and then it instantly takes you out of that immersion. And that's the thing about it. That's like, I would say there's probably two really main things that will instantly take you out of the immersion of a track, and one of them is having the track too smooth, too flat, and another thing is having the track too wide. So anyways, I'm going to give this track a solid 9 overall, and as to the difficulty, I'm going to say it is hard. So it's definitely tricky, man. You got to take your time with this track. Don't try to take it too fast on the first couple laps. So anyways, I appreciate all you watching these videos, and I'll keep on making them.